Good evening, Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude here. I'm starting this recording at 7:03 p.m. on October the 19th, Saturday, October the 19th. Another round of heavy precipitation is going to come through to the lower mainland still tomorrow on Sunday. There is that. It will take another day for all this to work its way through. On its way to Alberta, where it's going to form a Alberta clipper. It's going to bring snow on the backside of that. That's going to push itself east and make some chaos as it goes eastwardly. Meanwhile, BC, we're going to get a bit of a break before maybe the next big round happens next weekend all over again. So this is Bad News Show. Let's go. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. They try mopping this. This is in Deep Cove, BC. That is unbelievable. Wow. That's a lot. Wow, man. This thing delivered. Would you look at that? Oh my, that's terrible. Those people's homes. That's fucked up. 250 millibar animation here. That's pretty high up, deep into the jet stream. You can see there's a strong jet moving its way across the Pacific. It's bringing all that subtropical moisture straight into the lower mainland right now, into the coast. There's a lot of flooding warnings and watches going on. And this upper level jet, it gives you a very good idea of what an atmospheric river looks like when the precipitation's coming in. This upper level low now sitting down in the United States is going to be making a bit of a weather story this week as well. When it moves, looking on satellite, we see our long ribbon of Pacific moisture coming in to Vancouver Island. The lower mainland getting doused really good right now. There's some of those storms sitting just outside of Texas, coming into Texas right now. Go have a look into BC. You can see a lot of precipitation is happening into the Revelstoke area right now. And you can see our temperatures sitting up at 0 degrees up at the pass, more or less. And travel up at the pass right now is treacherous. This is still the last image we have, and it's as nightfall settling. Very solid precipitation moving down into Vancouver area. Over the course of the day, this has been pounding in the way that we saw that image of the upper level jet, more or less directing it straight on in. All the weather warnings in Canada right now are in the west. Fresh winds in Alberta, special weather statements where we're looking at snow in the Calgary area along Highway 2 corridor through the day on Monday. A brief period of rain is also possible in the morning before precipitation changes over to snow. This could result in slippery travel conditions. A few centimeters of snow may stick to the ground before the snow begins to taper off there Monday night. New warnings that are up west of Edmonton are for snowfall warnings for Sunday night. 10 centimeters of snow possible. Highest amounts are expected over the higher terrain of the Rocky Mountain foothills and Swan Hills. It will taper off Sunday morning. 10 to 20 centimeters expected along through Jasper and south. I'm sure if you're at that Icefields Parkway, it's going to be an absolute disaster. 15 to 20 centimeters. Do not travel up there Sunday afternoon or overnight. Now into BC side, because that's what we are here for. 40 to 60 millimeters of rain for Mica Creek. That could bring washouts, rock falls, landslides on slippery surfaces. There'll be swollen creeks and rivers, water pooling on roads. They got a rainfall warning going on through much of West Columbia, Trans-Canada Highway, Eagle Pass to Rogers Pass, Northern Arrow Lakes, Slocan Lakes regions, 50 to 100 millimeters of rain. I've been warning you about everything on this channel, all along. Told you snow was coming to the mountains, told you that we're going to have possible flooding situation, told you the atmospheric river was going to hit, told you this would be a little bit stronger of a storm than maybe you're used to getting in October. This is all what I was expecting. I don't know about you. Snowfall is a big time possibility up there unless it can warm up a couple degrees tonight, which is possible because we have a bit of a subtropical flow. It's warmer today in BC than it was yesterday. If you go through to Coquihalla Highway, they got a rainfall warning there where 50 millimeters is possible. So we're talking about increased risk of hydroplaning, localized flooding maybe. We'll keep heading west here. We get into rainfall warnings all over. 40 to 60 millimeters for Sea to Sky corridor, Squamish, Whistler, Highway 99. Then this entire giant stretch of BC, which includes a lot of the eastern flank of Vancouver Island and up, mostly the Sunshine Coast and north of, and then diving up into the Chilcotin where 60 millimeters of rain with locally higher amounts of 100 millimeters are possible from Duncan to Campbell River and Sunshine Coast. But that, for some reason, we're still getting that here, so that rainfall warning must be extended over, although there's not really a description on that. So rain has eased considerably across Vancouver Island right now in parts of the Sunshine Coast, but it will redevelop across the region tonight and expected to last through Sunday afternoon. So there's a next pulse, and we're going to look at that next pulse when it comes. Storms totaling 150 millimeters of rain, exceeding 300 millimeters over mountainous terrain. That's been going on. So I heard there was a landslide that temporarily cut off Tofino this afternoon, but was cleaned up fairly quickly. Over in Surrey, there is some fairly substantial flooding in areas. I also hear up towards Golden Ears, maybe it was. A bunch of areas like that where roads had to be closed down. Further rainfall amounts of 30 to 40 millimeters are still possible Sunday afternoon. So the good news is that this is all moving on now. We are coming out of this, but you got a little bit further to go. 20 to 40 millimeters by Sunday afternoon, 40 to 60 millimeters possible over the North Shore Mountains as well for Vancouver, Western, Central Fraser Valley as well. And over by, looks like more or less Mount Cheam and Hope and up, 50 millimeters of rainfall there. So there's very, very substantial rain. There's a long list of flood warnings and advisories that are currently in effect right now in the BC River Forecast Center. Here's the entire skinny, though, where the reds and oranges and yellows and what they all mean. So the River Forecast Center upgraded or maintaining a flood warning for Coquitlam River. That's an upgrade. A tick up West Vancouver Island, including rivers around Tofino, Bamfield, and Port Renfrew. River Forecast Center is maintaining a flood watch for Central Coast, including Kingcome River and Owikino River. Sorry if I don't say it right. South Coast, including Sunshine Coast, Howe Sound, Sea to Sky tributaries around Seashell, Squamish, Whistler, and surrounding areas. Lower Fraser tributaries, including Lillooet River around Pemberton, Metro Vancouver, Lower Mainland, Fraser Valley as well. River Forecast Center has high stream flow advisories for North Coast, as well as the interior mountains in the West Kootenay, Upper Fraser, North Thompson, South Thompson, Caribou Mountains, and Upper Columbia. A system of atmospheric rivers is impacting British Columbia. Total rainfall amounts observed since yesterday have ranged from 70 millimeters to 280 millimeters on West Vancouver Island, 40 millimeters to 90 millimeters elsewhere on Vancouver Island, 20 millimeters to 60 millimeters on Central Coast, 50 to 140 millimeters in Howe Sound, North Shore Mountains, 20 to 60 in other areas. There was some blasting winds when this storm rolled in yesterday. I mean, there was 180 almost gust that was measured on the northern tip of Vancouver Island. And they were maintaining some 140 steadies, I think, at that time. Like, this storm pounded in. It was impressive. It was another one of these hurricane force lows. They'd just been slamming in. And, you know, places up in the Vancouver Island, you go along those coastal areas, you can see those trees have experienced this for a long time. The land is weathered by it, right? This storm was pushing water. When I said those 180 kilometer gusts of wind, that's what it does. It stacks that water up. That is crazy. Auntie D says the lake is high. At higher elevation, some of the precipitation has fallen as a snow and is expected to melt on Saturday. Well, it did. And rain persisted Saturday into Sunday across the region. So this is already a bunch of hours old. This is from this morning still. So I expect to see a new report on here maybe Sunday morning, something like that. Heavier rain will occur overnight and into Sunday morning. So there's a break that's going on right now. Weather forecasts continue to focus heaviest rainfalls towards southwest corner of Vancouver Island across to Howe Sound, North Shore Mountains, Fraser Valley. And heavy rain in the adjacent regions. In the interior ranges of BC, a higher mix of elevation snow and low elevation rain is expected to continue Saturday and should continue in some regions on Sunday as well, I'm here to say. Rapid rises in river levels were experienced on Friday and overnight into Saturday. As of Saturday morning at 11 a.m. already, this is a long time ago, so you can expect these numbers will have changed. The highest flows have been concentrated around Vancouver Island, with observed stream flow reaching 2-year to above 20-year flow in rivers in the region. Other areas observe stream flow conditions in the 2-year flow, level flow, and blah, blah, blah. 2 and 20 in some of these rivers? Okay, so is normal fall weather? Well, no, normal fall weather doesn't happen once every 20 years. Unusual? No, not necessarily unusual, no. Ongoing hazards for high flows and potential flooding are expected to persist Saturday into Sunday. Hazards are pronounced on West Vancouver Island and into Howe Sound, North Shore Mountains, and Fraser Valley. Not good, folks. Adjacent areas continue to have potential for flooding during this period as well, particularly if the atmospheric river stalls or if spillover occurs in regions with the highest forecast rainfall. There's like a lot of bad stuff happening, man. Here's the red areas. These are where flood warnings are going on. Southwestern BC style, southwest side of Vancouver Island, and Coquitlam River now still at a flood warning. Here's our jet stream pounding in. Starts to become an Alberta clipper there at some point. Bam, off to the races it goes. Big time storm. And BC's actually going to catch a break for a number of days, but it doesn't last. You can see next weekend we're already right back into what more or less looks like the same flow. If you look at where the current track of the atmospheric river and where it is, it's going to shift down to the south. Eventually, this whole thing's going to shift down, coming through Sunday, maybe into Monday, start to hit into down, even maybe Portland, something like that, bring some very big rainfall for them. And a new high pressure zone is going to set itself up in here and move into BC and give us a fairly nice week for most of the province, except for maybe the northwest corners. Here we are, worst weather in Canada, as I promised you this weekend here in BC. And you can see Saturday night, some of that rain now making its way down into Washington, getting a bit of a break while a mix of snow and rain is going on. Heavy rainfall in the Kootenays and whatnot, areas up the Columbia Mountains. Snow kind of takes a run up through McBride area into the mountains, Caribou Mountains, Rocky Mountains up there. Coastal Mountains still taking snow. By the time we're at 9 a.m. Sunday morning, this next pulse of precipitation is going to come in. It's going to be pretty heavy. Probably slam in sometime around noon hour. Gross mix of precipitation, very, very heavy rainfall totals into Vancouver area as well, again, into much of the lower mainland. That's when we're going to see some of that snow really develop on the north side of that low, the new Alberta clipper that's forming, and it's going to be a real mess up there. And on the backside, as that low starts to move, the backside going counterclockwise, it's going to deliver some of that precip down into Calgary. We're still seeing Monday at 2 in the morning, a lot of rain and whatnot, 0 and below once you're from Williams Lake and north, but southern BC sitting down in the low single digits and higher. As we come into Monday morning, now you got that low charging across. It's bringing snow up into Thompson, Manitoba, through that belt, challenges its way across. The rest of the ongoing mix of nasty garbage that is sort of trailing in behind will work its way out BC on Monday, and that will set us up for what's going to be a number of pretty nice days. We'll zoom out here for a second and have a look at her. There's this big high pressure. It's starting to take over, and it's expected to grow into BC. 1042. I mean, that's really high. That's like popping my ears high, man. That would almost hurt. Here we go into Tuesday, 2 a.m., and suddenly we're looking at fairly nice weather. Of course, that's going to bring a bit more of a northerly bent to us. We'll be on the north side of the jet stream, of course, so that will probably drop our temperatures down overnight into freezing conditions for most of the province. And if not in the low parts of the valleys where you live, most certainly in higher country. The high pressure really owning BC for a bunch of days while this low makes its way eastward, brings all kinds of nastiness up into Quebec, moving its way through Ontario on Tuesday through the northwest. And by Wednesday, it looks like that will have brought a little bit into southern Ontario. Could have some thunderstorms and whatnot up there. Meanwhile, the northern half of this low just pounding nastiness up there, snow and garbage and all that. So we could have a little bit of snow up through northern BC this week. But here's kind of the interesting story that is sort of developing on the models, is a sort of a two-storm setup. And it's a bit of a mix and match between who might win. So I don't think I'm prepared to make a real prediction yet as to who's going to win. But this low for a little while is protecting us. But it's going to get squeezed out. These guys are starting to work together to squeeze out. And as they work together, they start to move closer to each other. They're like attracted to each other, man. One of them is going to win. So which one wins? You know, they're going to more or less coalesce at some point somehow, and it might weaken them temporarily. One of them is going to win, though. So how's that going to hit BC next week? For the most part, we got a pretty nice, solid week of, work week of good weather ahead. Good at this time of year, you know, like where it's not absolutely trying to snow and rain and slush and slam us. But I think by next Saturday, we'll sort of be back into it more or less. So we'll see if this low wins. I think other models show the southern low more coalesces and it pounds directly in, like the GFS seemed to indicate that, I think. Kinda. And the GFS would have it very atmospheric river-like. And if you look over the course of the week, that ribbon of precip's still sort of out there, just waiting to get pulled back together. Here's the group I founded in 2014, Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. We gained like 500 new members, I guess, in the last couple days. Kind of cool. 39,400 we're at now. Maybe more than 500. Okanagan Connector reports my forecasts were correct. Langley, Burnaby, West Vancouver. We got, make sure you check out Ingles Weather. That's Mark Ingles. He's a part of our podcast. He's also a moderator on Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. He really covers the south and the coast well, which is something I don't do much. So make sure you do check out and subscribe to Ingles Weather. And he's also got a great website as well, Ingles WX. Up in Dawson Creek, snowed. All hell broke loose here in Wells today. There's snowing in Dawson Creek, and it looks like it snowed a lot up in Dawson Creek today. So that's what's coming for you, Alberta. Lots of flooding down the coast, plenty of road closures. This is 128th King George. And yeah, as you can see, garbage weather for days. I got it right. You make sure you subscribe to your Caribbean Weather Dude YouTube channel. And hurricane force winds at Cape Scott Light Station yesterday reported 135 to 144 kilometers an hour in heavy seas. This is flooding up at Harrison Lake. There's Mark's page there, ingleswx.com. But I thought we were going to be walking a bit of a tightrope, and it seems like it. And we're not through it yet, and we could still have landslides and more flooding and things like this. And it looks like some people have lost a lot already. So my hearts are with you, province of British Columbia. Hang in there, if help your neighbor if this kind of thing affects them. All right, that's the show for today. I talked too long. I'm Joey Only Caribbean Weather Dude. Hit like, share, subscribe. Please join the Patreon or become a channel member. Support me. I'm trying to grow this thing so that we can have better and better weather reporting in British Columbia. That's my only goal here. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye for now.